In this section, we'll talk about automated lead follow-up. The key to automated lead follow-up is to send a sequence of messages that meets the recipient where they are today. And so if somebody just wants an arm's length relationship, they've requested a little bit of information, you don't want these messages to be too imposing. You want them to be somewhat arm's length in response, but just gentle, supportive, touching in, is there anything I can do to help? This is a low-cost and low-effort way to potentially work a very large number of leads with essentially no effort on your part. The key is to create messages that provide useful information in a low-key format. Internet lookers tend to be non-committal in the early stages, and so you don't want to be too imposing. Keeping it low-key produces results. Automation means that each lead can get touched multiple times per month. We use what we call a drip campaign. A campaign is nothing more than a series of emails that go out to a particular kind of lead and operate in sequence to hopefully motivate that lead to get in touch with you to go further. And so the power of an automated drip campaign means that each lead can get touched multiple times per month without any additional effort on your part. Each of these messages is delivered on your custom branded stationery. So even if it's just a one-sentence message saying, hey, just checking in to see how the home search is going, let me know if there's anything I can do to help. At the bottom of that message is your brand, your picture, whatever it is that you're using to promote yourself. And so it's just a helpful touch. And that helpful touch gets associated with your brand and creates a positive impression. When we follow up on leads with drip email, what we mean is that we're going to send a sequence of messages over a period of time. And these messages will tend to have a theme. In other words, collectively they comprise what we call a drip campaign. Let's take an example of how a couple of these campaigns could work. Suppose you've attracted a lead to one of your Real Pro Gold stealth sites, either a home buyer who's interested in finding what homes are for sale that interest her, or a home seller who's curious about how much her home is worth. Once registered as a lead, they are automatically and immediately enrolled in the appropriate drip email campaign. So buyers naturally would go into a buyer's campaign and sellers into a seller's campaign. These sequence of letters, these campaigns, are created by Real Pro systems and can be used out of the box as they are. Many agents do so, but others prefer to customize them, and so the content of each message and the frequency at which they are sent out is all up to you. You have complete control. But what happens is amazing, and that is that after these messages have been going out for some period of time, out of the blue, seemingly, you'll get a phone call or an email from somebody who has been receiving these messages, and they'll say, you know, we need to talk. I'd like you to come look at my house and give me a more accurate market estimate. I'd like you to show me a couple of the properties that have come across in this home search. And in many instances, they'll speak to you as if they think you have been crafting messages one at a time and sending to them. They don't realize it's automated. Now, the beauty of this approach is that you could be incubating hundreds or even thousands of leads with essentially no effort on your part. But what happens is you then begin to create a stream of people raising their hands with an email or a phone call saying, we need to get together and talk. I'm ready to take the next step. Another tool that's available in the Real Pro Gold to help you follow up on all your leads and, for that matter, past clients is a monthly electronic newsletter. This newsletter comes from us with a couple paragraphs of national market information already created, but gives you complete license to add additional content that's specific to your local market. It could be news about the real estate team that you're working with. It could be news about particular properties that are available in your market, new listings. It could be anything that you think would be of interest to your readers. The point is, as you customize it and the fact that it's branded the way it comes from us, everybody who receives this gets useful information and they associate that useful information with your brand. It's just one more powerful way to touch everybody in your lead database. So what happens when we put all this together? It can start to look complicated until you realize that all of this comes automated out of the box from Real Pro Systems, and that you can just tune and tailor it from there. But let me take a moment to show you what's possible. We could have buyers from a buyer's stealth site going into a specific buyer's drip campaign, and they'll receive regular email notes from you that are related to searching for a home. Similarly, sellers coming in through a seller's CMA request stealth site go into their own drip campaign. Tips, etc. that could be useful to sellers. How about folks that land on your branded website and they just request general information or they want follow-up? They can go into a general follow-up campaign. And similarly, leads that you pick up from open houses or other routine activity, you can hand enter them into a general follow-up campaign, and they'll automatically start receiving a sequence of messages from you. What about past clients? You probably want to touch in with them too. You might not want them to receive messages every week or even necessarily every month, but you do want to keep your brand in front of them. They are your best source of referrals. And so anything in addition to the newsletter that we mentioned, anything that you can think of to send them in a series of campaign messages can be put into a past client's drip campaign. And then, of course, there is the e-newsletter, which we typically recommend goes out to everybody in your database. So when you put all this together, you could potentially be touching a buyer or seller 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe even 10 times a month. You get to choose the intensity of the campaign. Some agents prefer a less intensive, more laid-back approach, and other agents prefer a more in-your-face, let's force this one way or the other kind of approach. You get to choose. So the message behind all of this is, let the system do the work. Many of the leads that you will pull up off the internet are not particularly high quality to start. They're what we might even call D leads. And you might say, well, they're not worth my time. Well, you might be right. They might not be worth your time. But if you have an automated system that incubates them, that system will over time qualify them for you. And they'll call you out of the blue or send you an email out of the blue and say, we ought to get together and talk about this. I think we're ready to move forward. Well, now all of a sudden that D is no longer a D, it's a B lead or maybe even an A lead. So the point here is that the system can incubate hundreds or thousands of leads while you sleep. And you'll be absolutely amazed at the results. After all, like everything else in sales, this is a numbers game. So you need as many leads as possible in your system. Let the system do the incubation, and over time you'll get a steady stream of A and B prospects that come out the other end. That's the power of automated follow-up on every lead that comes into your system. This is just one of the 5 subsystems built in to Real Pro Gold.